Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our new episode on the business of rivers. So in this episode, I'm just going to give you different financial terminologies and trying to see how we can blend nature with the financial currency. So this episode will be based on the relationship on how natural flows inspire financial currency. So it's like a river currency, river flow, and all of that. So the introduction will be just a metaphor of riverbanks and the financial systems. Like the concept of riverbanks and natural flows provide a powerful metaphor for understanding financial systems and how currency flow and within an economy, like the currency flow within an economy, really. Just as the riverbanks shape and direct the flow of water, financial institutions, also like banks, guide and regulate the movement of money. So this metaphor can be extended to business strategies, market trends, and economic policies, offering insights into how the natural world can inspire and inform the financial practices. So are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? In this episode, we're going to look at the riverbanks and financial banks, just the relationship and try to compare them, the structural analog, we're going to look at the directing currents and currency, directing currents and currency, so like the water flow, the currents, and then understanding like the flow dynamics. After that, number 3, we're going to look at the natural flow, the flow, natural flows in business strategies, like lesson from rivers. Then number 4, it will be the impact of directing the current, like strategic influence of financial flows. Then number 5 will be like on sustainability in business and nature, maintaining balance or equilibrium. Then number 6 will be like on the real world application, how business mirror natural principles. So we're trying to bring like the real world application examples, just to throw in practical examples there. Then number 7, I'm going to give a quick summary like I usually do in all the episodes on our topic, the power of nature and the financial strategy. Then I'll give some key takeouts because it is all about terminology, just in case you might get lost. So you have to bear with me and we'll go along step by step. So should we begin, ladies and gentlemen? You have to tighten your belts and let's begin. So let's begin, ladies and gentlemen. So in this video, we'll break down, first of all, the relationship between riverbanks and financial banks. So it is banks, riverbanks and financial banks. Number 2 will be on how the natural currents mirrors the flow of money and economic trends. Number 3 would be on the strategies businesses can use to direct financial currents for growth. Number 4, it will be all on the sustainability lesson from nature that apply to long-term financial stability. So in the case of stability, it's all about equilibrium, the balancing. Then number 1, we're going to look at the riverbanks and financial banks as our first title, the structure analogy, something like that. So in nature, riverbanks serve as a critical function by channeling the flow of a river that is in nature. So preventing it from overflowing and directing it toward a specific destination. Like similarly, like in financial banks, channels the flow of money, managing liquidity. So what is liquidity? Like business liquidity is your ability to cover any short-term liabilities such as loans, like staff wages, bills and taxes. So that's the liquidity, your ability to cover in a short term, like in an emergency, something like that. Then we have credit. We have also after credit, we have and investments to ensure stability and growth in the economy. So what is credit? Most of the people usually confuse credit with money. Credit does not mean money. So credit is when the bank or other financial institution makes a loan. So it credits money to the borrower who must pay it back at the future date with interest on top. So credit is simply based on interest or promise. There's a credit, like a loan as well, or might give someone maybe loan is the best example, loan or mortgages, because you're paying with the interest back as well. And investment, you know about investments, to simply invest in the future, then you get some income in the future or some profit, revenue in the future. So both the systems rely on structure and regulations to maintain order and prevent chaos. Like riverbanks, so in the case of riverbanks, we have to explain them. So these natural structures control the water's direction and flow, assuring it reaches its destination while preventing floods. So that's all. Like in the case of currents, we can say like we can use the Ohm's law, like the V of voltage equals current multiplied by resistance. So when the current goes high, when the voltage goes high, or when you increase the voltage, the current also will increase. So we can say the current is directly proportional to voltage, but inversely proportional to resistance, because when the voltage goes high, the current also increases, but the resistance also decreases. So the financial banks, so these institutions manage the flow of money, directing investments, loans, and saving to fuel economic growth and stability. So it's all about stability, trying to bring the balance really, not to raise the interest rate too high or try to increase the living cost as well, so, or in order to try to avoid inflation or recession. So the second one, I'm going to look at directing currents and currency. Those that look like similar, so they're like similes. Currents and currency, like understanding the flow dynamics. Like currents in a river are influenced by the shape of the riverbed. So they're influenced or shaped or reshaped by the riverbed's obstacles and the overall terrain, like similarly, like in the financial currents, or the flow of money are directed by various factors such as the interest rates. So the interest rates, you can lower it or increase it, like governmental policy or government policies, and market demand. So just as an engineers may manipulate river currents to harness the energy or prevent erosion, businesses and financial institutions can influence the flow of money through strategic decisions too. So the interest rate is simply there to try to encourage or discourage people from borrowing money from the banks or financial institutions. So when the interest rate goes high, you have less people go to borrow money in the bank. When it goes lower, then you encourage more people to go and start borrowing again. So in the case of river currents, we still under directing currents and currency, number 2. So river currents, we have like the speed and direction of water flow depends on the river's shape, obstacles, and natural forces. So it's all about nature really, the things which are beyond your control. Even though they are beyond your control, that does not mean you cannot prepare for them in the future or in the present. So you can avoid the floods in the future, like building the dams and all the things like that. Those are the examples like the engineers can manipulate and try to change the way the currency goes, the speed as well. The financial currents under the second heading, directing currents and currency. Financial currents, like the flow of money, is affected by economic policies, like market trends as well, and financial decisions. Number 3, we're going to look at the natural flows in business strategy, lessons from rivers. So there's big similarities between river currents and the financial currency as well, or currency, or bank currency. So businesses can draw inspiration from natural river flows to develop strategies that harness the economic trends. So by understanding how natural system balance forces and sustain themselves, like companies can design financial strategies that are both resilient and adaptive. So simply aiming at that adaptive really. When it comes to nature, you have to be more adaptive. Different seasons, maybe 4 seasons, summer, winter. So you have to adapt yourself to different seasons as well. Same as a business. Like flexibility, you have to be flexible. Like just as the rivers adapted to the environment, businesses should remain flexible to navigate changing market conditions. So in the case of marketing, you cannot predict it. So it changes as well, like the wind. You cannot predict which direction it's going to flow next. Like efficiency as well, you have to focus on the efficiency. Like rivers follow the path of the least resistance. In the case of fortunes, things like that. So whenever there's a least resistance, that's where the water will follow. Like similarly, business should streamline operations to maximize efficiency as well. So in the case of least resistance, is like the fortune. You cannot predict it, fortuna. So you have to take precautions as well in the case of flooding. You have to try to improve the least existence and try to make it more robust as well. So in the future, we get saved. There will not be any flooding or erosion. Sustainability, then maintaining a balanced ecosystem in a river is crucial for long-term health. So look in the long term as well, not on the short term. Like just the financial sustainability is key to long-term business success as well. Number 4, we're going to look at the impact of directing the current, like strategic influence on the financial flows. Like businesses can strategically influence financial currents by making calculated decisions that guide the flow of money in their favor. Imagine guiding the flow of money in your favor. So when you say about the flow of money or the currency, it's like the income. So imagine the river currents being like the income flows, or the income flow, the cash flow. So this might involve the adjusting pricing strategies, diversifying investments, or leveraging market opportunities to steer financial outcomes. We're still under number 4, impacting of the directing the currents. So we look at the pricing strategies. Like adjusting prices can influence consumer behavior. When you adjust the price, which means you can lower or increase the price, it can influence the consumer's behavior. Much like altering a riverbank can change a river's course. So number 2, like investment desertification under the impacting of directing the current. So investment is diversification, like spreading trying to spread it around. So spreading investments across various sectors can stabilize income streams, the income flow, income streams, different streams, akin to creating multiple channels for a river to prevent overflow. So income streams, like you might have a passive income, like you have different income streams, income flow in your pocket or your bank or your account, things like that. Market influence as well. So companies can position themselves to take advantage of economic currents, similarly to harnessing river energy through dams or turbines as well. Number 5, we're going to look at the sustainability in business and nature, maintaining balance or equilibrium or balance, or trying to keep everything really in the same level, not to go too high or too low, trying to keep in the equilibrium. So both the natural ecosystems and financial system require balance to function effectively over the long term. So you have to think about the long term, about the future, not only today in the short term. You think about the long term and you plan about them as well. So in nature, disrupting a river's flow can lead to erosion, like flooding, or loss of biodiversity. Similarly, in finance, mismanagement of courses or resources can lead to economic instability, market crashes, or financial crisis. Financial crisis like recession, you have the inflation or hyperinflation. So understanding the importance of sustainability can help businesses maintain steady growth and avoid financial pitfalls. Those are the things which you want to avoid, because when there's a financial crisis or market crashes, it is something serious. The lives of majority of people affected. It's not only like the minority or the third class, it's even the second class or the first class. All of them are affected, in the case of recession. Or the cost of living goes high. Everyone start complaining, protesting, and things like that. Natural balance under the sustainability in the business and nature, like ensuring a river remains healthy, involve protecting its banks, regular flows, regulating flow, and preserving ecosystems as well. In the case of a river, you have to protect its banks. You have to make sure it flows smoothly, and preserving the ecosystems as well. You have to worry about all of those things. Financial balance, like ensuring a business remains financially healthy, involves managing cash flow, like controlling debt, and maintaining liquidity. In simple terms, liquidity simply means is to get you money whenever you need it. Imagine an emergency, whenever you need it, it might be cash. So maybe you keep your cash inside the house. So in the case of an emergency, you just take that money and use it. Instead of going to the bank, you say, I want to withdraw 3K or 3,000, 1,000. They say you cannot draw all of this money. So imagine those are recession. Imagine those are inflation. So in the case of emergency, that's when the liquidity kicks in. So it's when you need your money, and whenever you need it, you get it. Like example, liquidity might be in your emergency savings account, or the cash lying with you, that you can access in the case of the unforeseen happening or any financial setback, the recession and the inflation, which I just said there, or the bankruptcy. Number 6, we're going to look at the real world applications, how business mirror natural principles. So it's all about trying to find the link between the business and natural principles, the river currents or river banks and financial banks. So we got the real world application. So it will be like in this case, we look like many businesses have successfully mirrored the natural principles in their operations. Like for example, companies that implement agile practices are essentially adapting to the current of market changes. Like much like rivers adjust to environmental shifts. So it's same like in the financial, the same as a river also must adjust to the environmental shifts, different environmental changes. Like financial institutions that prioritize sustainability are keen to maintaining healthy river ecosystem, ensuring long-term viability, agility. So companies like tech startups often use agile methodologies to quickly adapt to market changes, mirroring our rivers change course. So you have to be more adaptive, really. I say one of my quote: the key to happiness is all based on adaptation. Trying to adapt, that's the only key of happiness. Instead of trying to complain, you adapt it in the environment. So sustainability initiatives like financial institutions promote green investments are focusing on long-term health, like similar to how environmentalists protect river ecosystems. So in conclusion, what can we say about all the relationship between the riverbanks and the nature and the financial? Like the current flows, you have the riverbanks, the financial banks. So the current flow is like the petrol which you need to keep things moving. If there's no current flow, then everything just freezes, everything just stops really. So you need the money to keep moving, like the interest rate, you have to control that. The marketing crash, you have to worry about that, you have to plan about that in the future. So in conclusion, we look at the power of nature and the financial strategy. So the metaphor of riverbanks and currents provide a fresh and insightful way to view financial systems and business strategies. By understanding and applying the principle of natural flows, businesses can better navigate economic currents, assuring stability, growth, and sustainability as well. So this approach not only helps companies strive in the present, but also prepare them to adapt to future challenges. Not only about today, but you have to think about tomorrow as well. You may not reach tomorrow, but tomorrow will surely come. It is always guaranteed. So just as a well-managed river continues to flow steadily through changing landscapes. So the key takeaways, like in the case you miss it or the terminology is too hard for you to really to digest. So the key takeaway is just the structure and control. Just as the riverbanks shape water flow, financial systems shape the flow of currency. Adapting to change, like businesses should be flexible like rivers, adjusting to obstacles and changes in the environment. So if you're a business owner, you have to change with time. You cannot wait for right time or wrong time. You cannot say I'm waiting for the right time, because there's no right time, there's no wrong time. Because the more you wait, there's a saying in The Prince, time brings good as well as evil, or evil as well as good. So there's no right time or bad time. You just make the decision. If it is right or wrong, then you can change it along the way. So there's no right decision or wrong decision. No one knows what is right or what is wrong. So just make it and maybe adjust yourself or adapt as well. Different conditions, different environments, different circumstances. Sustainability, like the long-term success in both nature and financial, requires maintaining balance and avoiding exploitation. So in the case of overexploitation, it's like the people really trying to blend with nature. So what is politics? Politics is simply the interaction between two or more people. But nature is when the people start to economics is when people start to interact with nature. But economics is always bigger than the politics. So because we have got the ideology, from ideology we have all political ideas or political philosophies, or ideology, philosophy, then politics. After politics, economics, then after that we have culture, tradition. So every tradition, every culture will be different according to the environment, the law of the lands and things like that. Then society, your history and all of that is simply tailored to each people or to each individual or to each place, to each nation. So by avoiding overexploitation, which means like those moving away from capitalism and applying socialism ideologies, because capitalism is all about exploitation. It doesn't about imperialism and things like that. But socialism is all about humanity, putting people before profit. But capitalism put money before people. putting wealth before health, but socialism put health before money. But no one is right, no one is wrong. It just depends, really. You cannot, like, nothing in excess. So if you keep the balance, everything, I think, will be fine. But in my case, I think socialism ideologies are much better than capitalism, because socialism is not based on exploitation of anyone or the exploitation of nature. So socialism simply teach about humanity, democracy. So the only true foundation of democracy lies in socialism. So by integrating these natural principles into our financial strategies, businesses can achieve sustainable growth and remain resilient in the face of economic change. So it's all about resilience, really. Resilience is simply trying to cope in difficult times, or whenever you're faced with challenges. That's when resilience comes in. You have to cope with them. How can you cope with them when you're not well prepared for different changes, or different circumstances, or different environments? You have to try to become adaptive. By becoming adaptive, that's when you can become as well resilient in life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the end. I've covered all the promises points which I named in my introduction. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and keep sharing the videos on more on the business related, or anyone who's interested in business. So don't forget to leave your comment and your suggestions in the comment section. So thanks so much. Ciao. Bye.